Good morning everyone and welcome to another new tank in the store, so new video from me video. My apologies for any quality issues, I'll say that right away. I've basically turned off the game sounds. I'm not at home, so I'm actually making this video on my iPad rather than my laptop, which is what I usually do. I do not have a professional microphone here and pretty much everything else is different, even my ping in this game, so do not expect too much of it. But despite my being on holiday, I figured that I'd make you a video review regardless of that. So here I am, and we're going to watch some gameplay of the Object 907. Now this all starts not too really that's pretty much interesting with me capping bases, so I've fast forwarded it a little bit as far as this app would allow me. But yeah, this is a new tier 10 that Wargaming has decided to bring into the game in the middle of a tournament season. And I will honestly say that I am not very happy with that, because basically it's a new tank, a new tier 10 tank behind a paywall, and even though it's not OP, it has strengths and weaknesses, and if this tank is seen as a tournament tank, then basically it puts the tournament behind a paywall. So that's just... it's not done. It's an ugly move from Wargaming, in my opinion, to release a tier 10 tier 10 tank, in the middle of a tournament season, regardless of whether that's like highly competitive or not. And I will always be against it, especially since it will be behind a paywall again, because not everyone will be able to get it unless they are very lucky and unless they can spend a fortune, and that's basically the thing. Now, for the tank itself, it seems fairly balanced. Like, I've been comparing it to the T22, the Object 140 and the T62A, and it has pretty much, it's similar, but not that different. It got a little bit less DPM with 3160 versus 3260 for the T22, 3339 for the Object 140, and the same for the T62A. The penetration is 240, which is the same as T22 and the Object 140, whereas the T62A has 245. The alpha is 310 for all four of them. The rate of fire of this one is 10.19, which is slightly slower than the other three. So the reload is 5.89, where it is 5.71 for the T22 and 5.57 seconds for the T140 and the T62A. The caliber is 100 for all four of them. The shell velocity for the Object 907 is 1015, same as the T22, but it's 1535 for the Object 140 and the T62A. So it's similar, it's not that different. But then we get to the aim time. The aim time of this tank is 1.81, which is the same as the Object 140, whereas the T22 has 2.08 and the T62A is 1.36. The dispersion is slightly worse than all of them. It's basically 0.326, where it's 0.308 for the T22 and 0.317 for the 140 and 2.72 for the T62A. The gun depression is 1 degree better than the T22 and the Object 140, the same as the T62A at 7 degrees. And the gun elevation is 16 degrees, which is the same as the T22, where it is 17 degrees for the 140 and the T62A. Now, this tank is faster than the other four. It goes 60 kilometers per hour forwards, 25 backwards, where it is 55 for the T22 and the Object 140, and 50 kilometers for the T62A. It is 20 kilometers per hour backwards for all three of those, where it is 25 for the Object 907. The engine power as such is thus higher because it's faster in everything. The power to weight ratio is somewhat better at 2162. Basically, the reverse 54 degrees. The camo while standing still is 30%, which is somewhat higher than the T22 at 27%, the Object 140 at 29%, and the T62A at 27% as well. While moving, it is 23%, which is 21 for the T22, 22 for the Object 140, and 20 for the T62A. And after shooting, it is 6% for while standing still and 4% while moving, which is pretty much this. It's like all similar, like barely a percentage between them. And I can keep basically telling you everything about all of them for that, but it's not that useful. So you'll have to take my word for it. It's got a view range of 274, which is the same as the other three. It has an HP of 1900, which is 50 higher than the T22 and the Object 140, but the same as the T62A. The weight is the same for all four tanks, but then we get to the turret, basically the armor, I should say, and that is where this tank differs. The turret armor in the front is 208, where it is 230 for the T22, 240 for the Object 140 and the T62A. From the side it is 160, which is 170 for the T22, 187 for the Object 140 and 161 for the T62A. And at the rear it is 46, where it is 140 for the T22 and 65 for the Object 140 and the T62A. The hull armor is 100 at the front, which is the same for the T22 and the Object 140, but the T62A is 106. From the side it is 60, where the T22 has 80, as well as the Object 140 and the T62A has 78. And basically from the rear it is 40, where the T22 has 80, the Object 140 has 55, and the T62A has 47. Now, this is basically the tank. Like, statistically this is the tank, and I don't mind it. I quite like the tank, and I will want to get it, basically also just to complete the collection, but it is a fun tank to drive. Now, you've not seen me do particularly well in all these games. This is by far the best game I've had, and I've taken it out for quite a few spins, to be honest. But like I said, I am on holiday. The internet is a little bit dodgy here, so I'm playing on the different ping and everything, and I'm happy to have done as well as I have, to be honest. But yeah, I still wanted to make this video and talk about the tank, and talk about the fact that Wargaming is again releasing a tank, a tier 10 tank, a tier 10 premium tank or collectible, I'm not actually sure, mid-tournament season, even though that could mean that it makes the tournament pay to win. I do not fully expect it, because this tank, it's not OP, it's not a T22, but it has a lot of good things about it, and it is a lot of fun to drive, so I'm not sure if this tank is going to be used in tournaments or not, and it might just be interesting to use right now, mainly because of the fact that it's a new armor profile that people aren't exactly used to yet. And that's also a big advantage, because if you don't know a tank yet, you also don't know exactly where to shoot it or how to shoot it, and that gives you an advantage. And that was one of the things that made the T22 very strong in the beginning. Now, the T22 is still a very strong tank, and it is way stronger than this one when it comes to the armor, that is. It's the speed of this tank that makes it basically as fun as it can be, and potentially tournament worthy. I don't know that, to be honest, so that's something to keep in mind as well. I'm not an expert in these kind of things, but I do think it's a bad move for Wargaming to release tier 10 tanks in the middle of a tournament season, especially when they're behind a paywall. But yeah, that is it. I do feel that the tank is balanced for its tier. Like, it's not OP, it can bounce some stuff, it won't bounce all that much, it has a nice reload, it can hold its own quite well. It's like a nice ridge line and everything. I really like it, and the way that it drives, the mobility that it has and everything. It just feels very smooth to drive. And it's fun to drive as well, because with the mobility, like for me, I've been driving lights and mediums for the most part, mainly because I just enjoy that a lot more than pretty much any kind of tank type that we have otherwise in the game. Like, that's also why I like heavies, because you can do more with them. So for that reason, I will want this tank, and I will still hate that it's locked behind a crate wall, because basically it's a new tank. Of course it's going to be in crates, and we're going to hate that it is in crates. But yeah, back to the tank itself, I don't feel like it's completely overpowered. We'll have to wait and see how it works in tournaments and everything. It is fun, and I will hate gambling for it. Just basically be careful out there, because you can lose a lot of money gambling and still not get the tank. So keep that in mind when you go to try for this tank. It can cost you a lot of money, and basically you want to avoid that happening. As you can see, my game is a little bit glitchy because, well, I'm in the middle of nowhere right now. But yeah, that is my review for this tank. That is basically my not being happy with Wargaming for releasing this right now. And that's it for now. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll be seeing you guys later. Bye!